Have a bit of a runny nose? Wake up with a headache? You may have the flu, so here's what to do. The flu is a highly contagious respiratory illness caused by influenza viruses. These viruses primarily infect the throat, nose, and occasionally the lungs. And while there are multiple types of the influenza virus, type A is the most common and causes seasonal flu epidemic. According to the CDC, every year the flu season begins around October and lasts through May. But don't be alarmed, there are preventative measures that you can take to decrease your chances of infection, such as social distancing, covering sneezes and coughs, and washing your hands. If you ever begin to experience muscle aches, a fever, a runny or stuffy nose, a cough, or fatigue, you may have been infected with the flu. According to CDC estimates, the flu has caused 100,000 to 710,000 hospitalizations in the United States. If you do get infected, doctors often recommend lots of rest and fluid accompanied with common over-the-counter medicines like Advil or Tylenol, which aid in reducing symptoms. The influenza virus can be a deadly disease. The CDC estimates that there have been 4,900 to 51,000 deaths annually between 2010 and 2023. But by understanding how the virus works, we can prevent severe infections and death.
Viruses are a type of microbe made up of nucleic acid, either DNA or RNA, and surrounded by a protein shell. Outside a living cell, viruses are unable to function as they lack the materials they need to reproduce. To gain access to these materials, viruses hijack cells, using the cell's mechanisms to produce copies of itself. To do this, viruses have a specialized protein called the spike protein to gain entry to the cell by binding to receptors on the cell membrane. In this case, influenza binds to sialic acid receptors. This triggers endocytosis, a process that allows the cell to bring the virus in. The influenza virus is a negative-sense single-stranded RNA virus, meaning that it only has a single strand of RNA that is transcribed into positive-sense RNA and then translated by hijacked cells' mechanisms to form proteins and replicate. Influenza type A is classified into different subtypes based on the versions of the two spike proteins the virus has. These two spike proteins are known as hemagglutinin, HA, and neuraminidase, NA. There are 17 versions of HA and 10 versions of NA. For example, a virus with HA version 1 and NA version 2 is called H1N2. Currently, H1N1 and H3N2 circulate in humans, while others like H5N1 are found in animals. These subtypes are further classified into strains depending on when and where they were discovered. Speaking of strains, why are there so many? Viruses have very high mutation rates due to the fact that they reproduce very rapidly. Mutations are changes in the DNA sequence. Sometimes mutations create new, stronger strains of a virus. Since the virus evolves rapidly, there are new strains of the influenza virus every year.
But don't worry, our bodies have developed mechanisms to fight against viral hijacking and keep us safe. Our immune system is activated by antigens such as spike proteins on viruses. When our immune system is alerted to the presence of an antigen, it triggers a series of processes. For example, do you remember getting a fever the last time you had the flu? By raising internal temperatures, the immune system hopes to kill off viral invaders. An important aspect of the immune system is the creation of adaptive responses, or in other words, your body's reaction to a foreign microorganism. These responses may take some time to develop and are particularly strong. By using B cells and T cells, memory of past invaders is retained. B cells are responsible for attacking invaders outside the cell. The receptors get triggered by viral antigens, causing them to multiply and secrete antibodies specific for that virus. On the other hand, T cells, or cytotoxic T cells, aid in attacking already infected cells. Upon recognizing a foreign antigen from an infected cell, the T cell's response is to release an enzyme, perforin, that forms holes in the membrane of the infected cell, ultimately destroying it. The best part of our immune system is that when your body has developed an antibody to fight against a specific antigen, it will remember how to make it through clonal selection. Each cell has their own diverse receptor. Therefore, if binding occurs, the cells know invaders are present and what cell with accompanying cell receptor will do the job. Almost as a sequence of switches, the cells proceed to clone as many B or T cells to establish memory. So if you get infected with the same antigen again in the future, your body will already know how to fight it. But when it comes to a virus that changes every year, like influenza, immunological memory doesn't help as much. Luckily, scientists have developed a way to give our immune system a head start: vaccines. Because there's a new strain of the virus every year, it's important that you get vaccinated for the flu. But how do vaccines work?
Vaccines are very important because they help the body defend itself from diseases without the danger of a serious symptom. The influenza vaccine specifically works by introducing a small protein from the virus into your body in the form of an injection into the arm muscle. This allows your body to produce antibodies quicker than if you get infected as normal. Most of the influenza vaccines protect against the most common type of virus, influenza A. There are different ways the vaccine itself is made. The first way is by an inactivated virus. This means that the particles of the virus have grown and lost its ability to cause diseases. The second way is by a recombinant virus, which means that it's created synthetically and cannot be reproduced to cause the virus. By understanding the nature of the influenza virus and taking preventative measures, we can significantly reduce impact. Remember, the flu is a serious illness that can lead to severe complications. Recognizing the symptoms early, practicing good hygiene, and getting vaccinated annually are crucial steps to protect yourself and others. Even if you do contract the flu, knowing how the virus works and how your body responds can help you manage the symptoms effectively. Stay informed, stay prepared, and let's work together to keep our communities healthy.